Hi, my name is Jimmy, and I like playing sports ball with my friend. Ow!
Oh no! Jimmy, your bone is broken.
Hi, Jimmy. I'm Dr. Batcher. You have a complex and risky bone fracture which may not properly heal. Mrs. Jimmy's mom, in order to heal your son's fracture, we will use a bone graft injection.
What's a bone graft?
Well, a bone graft can be basic bone tissue or a bone substitute.
What is this stuff being injected into my son? He won't get autism, will he?
Of course not. Not even vaccines cause autism. In this case, we're going to use a special bone substitute material that is composed of collagen, gel, and bone morphogenic protein. This mixture will be strengthened with other materials, but for the purpose of our discussion, let's just assume it is primarily collagen gel.
Is this gonna hurt?
Of course not. It will just be a pinch. Not even your proteins will feel it. To ensure that the proteins will survive the ejection from the syringe, through the cannula, and into Jimmy's bone, the entire system is designed to limit the shear stresses placed on the BMPs because we definitely don't want these proteins to unfold before they even have a chance to fix you.
How much stress can proteins handle before they unfold or break? Will they need a massage like mommy does after PTA meetings?
In general, your proteins can handle around 3 pascals of shear stress before they begin to show unfolding, which is probably a lot less stress than your mother goes through. Okay, Jimmy, so before we inject this bone material, let me explain to you how it's going to help fix you. To inject the material, I will push the plunger and the material will leave the syringe and enter your body. It is a pressure-driven flow. In other words, bone material will flow due to a pressure difference through a cylinder with a uniform cross-sectional area, which is an example of the Hagen-Poiseuille principle. What would we assume to figure this out?
Mommy says that when we assume, we make donkeys out of you and me.
Well, Mommy is right. But for science, we have to assume some things, and don't worry, we will not become donkeys. We can use the Hagen-Poiseuille principle and other governing equations because we assume a unidirectional flow in the z direction, which is basically down the injection barrel. Second, the flow is fully developed and therefore is not accelerating in the barrel after I push the plunger. Finally, we will assume that there is no effect from gravity.
Oh, I took biofluid dynamics in college. If I recall, the equations governing Hagen-Poiseuille flow are directly derived from the Navier-Stokes equations and assume the following. First, the flow is steady. Second, that the radial and swirl components of the fluid velocity are zero. Third, that the flow is axisymmetric. And finally, that the fluid is incompressible, Newtonian, and exhibits laminar characteristics.
I don't get it.
In order to understand how much the protein mixture will flow through the syringe, we must figure out how fast the mixture is moving at every point in the barrel. Have you heard of Isaac Newton?
Yeah, he was a mean old scientist who made telescopes and stuff.
Well, Sir Newton's law of viscosity says how fast a fluid can flow at any point in the tube, and that the mixture directly in the middle of the tube will flow faster than the mixture everywhere else. We can expect the lowest velocity to be along the walls of the barrel, where there's also the maximum shear stress placed on the flowing material. See, shear stresses occur when forces are applied parallel to a cross-section and can occur when you have the force of a fluid moving across the wall of an object. We don't want high shear stresses because too much stress on biological materials can cause them to be destroyed.
So this is kind of like how ketchup sticks to the sides of the bottle?
Kind of, more like how juicy juice flows through the straw.
So, Jimmy, do you have any idea how we can figure out if the mixture will be destroyed in the syringe?
I bet it shouldn't flow too fast, and I bet the maximum shear stress shouldn't be greater than 3 pascals that cause proteins to unfold or everything will burst.
Good job, Jimmy! Basically, we can build a velocity profile at all radial points of the fluid flow. Using this velocity profile and Newton's law of viscosity, we can calculate the shear stresses at every point. Ultimately, we can use the maximum velocity to determine the maximum shear stress and compare that to our threshold. If it is under the value we found, we can be sure that your bone will get all of the healthy graft it needs. If it's over, well, let's just hope it doesn't get to that.
So using all the information that we discussed previously, as little r goes toward big R, which is the radius of the barrel, the velocity of the moving graft material with respect to r will be slower at the walls of the barrel, and the material here will also experience the maximum shear stress. According to my calculations, the maximum shear stress will be less than 3 pascals, and therefore we don't expect any unfolding of our protein material.